Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Thank you for joining me this morning. The president and the vice president greeted a group of seniors to the White House yesterday to talk about senior policy. The media was invited in. A quote spray occurred. I'd like you to hear some of that. You may have seen some of it, not seen much of it on the news last night. Donald Trump talking with John Roberts of Fox News addressed the Chaz zone in Seattle, cut number 6.
You know, they're negotiating garbage removal. These people have taken over a vast part, a major part, a very good part of a place called Seattle. Seattle's big stuff. That's a major city. And we have a governor who's a stiff, and we have a mayor who said, oh, this is going to be a love fest. And by the way, these are violent people that took it over. These are not people that are nice people. I saw on your network today, John. I saw what went on with the hitting and the punching and the beating and all the other things going on in Seattle. And you have a governor that doesn't do a damn thing about it. And you have a mayor that doesn't know she's alive. She's talking about it's going to be a love fest this summer. Now, if they don't do the job, I'll do the job. And I've already spoken to the Attorney General about it. But if they don't do the job, we will do the job.
What can you do?
About 10 different things. Any one of which will solve the problem quickly.
Can we go through a whole list or a partial list?
We don't have to go through any list. We can do a lot of things.
Mr. President.
I think it's incredible also that the radical left press doesn't cover it. They're acting like nothing happened. You turn on the news, you look at the news, you don't even see stories about it. If the right ever took over a city, conservative Republicans took over a city, it would be the biggest story in history. You can't even find stories about Seattle. It's incredible.
How much longer?
They've taken over. We'll see. I tell you what, the American public is very angered by that. Seattle is a major, important city, and the Democrats, I guess you say radical left, but it's not even radical left. It's just Democrat. Where we have our problem are Democrat-run cities. If you look at Minneapolis, if you look at other cities that have had trouble, they're Democrat in virtually every case that I can think of. I can't think of one other case. These are Democrat-run cities. Minneapolis, where the police are told to run for your lives. Don't do anything. And if I didn't get involved and send in the National Guard, and it was at my insistence that they did that, and as soon as I did that, everything stopped in Minneapolis 4 days, 5 days later.
Is there a timeline that you're thinking here, Seattle?
There's no timeline. We're watching it very closely. These are violent people that are dealing violently, and I think what I'd like to see before we do something, I'd like to see the press get in and cover it, because it's not that they're covering it badly, they're hardly covering it all. Think of this. A group, Antifa and others, radical lefts, they went into a major U.S. city, Seattle, and they took over a big percentage of that city, and the press doesn't want to cover it. And we have a mayor who's scared stiff. She doesn't know what's happening. We have a governor that's one of the most overrated politicians in the country. He just ran for president. He got less than 1%. He actually probably, I would have said less than 0, but I'm not sure that's possible. He got nothing. He got no votes, nothing. The whole thing, the guy was out there fighting. At the end, he got 0, right? 0. So he failed. And now he goes back and they take over a city and he doesn't say anything about it. Worse, he said he didn't hear it. A day later, he said, I didn't hear anything about it. They took over a city, Seattle, and he said, I didn't hear anything about it. So look, the governor has to call out the troops, do what he has to do, has to call out the National Guard, has to do something. Because, you know, the problem with what happened in Seattle is it spreads. And all of a sudden they'll say, let's do some other city, and let's do another one. And we're not going to let it happen. So timing-wise, hey, we're all set to go. We're watching the process. But the most amazing thing about the process is how the fake news media doesn't want to cover it.
And he's right.
The most amazing thing.
And the fake news media doesn't want to cover it because it does make Democrats look bad, and the fake news media is an arm of the Democrats. Honest to goodness, the Seattle thing is, for the reason the president said, very concerning. If it becomes obvious to Antifa that they will not be in any way molested, then Columbus goes up. Then Austin, Texas. I don't think they'll try this in Texas, actually. Texas business owners are going to object mightily if they take over 8 blocks, or is it 4 blocks? I don't know what it is. But there was lots else in the presser yesterday. Donald Trump spoke about NATO and Germany and why we are withdrawing troops from it. Cut number 1.
So we have 52,000 soldiers in Germany. It's a tremendous amount of soldiers. It's tremendous cost to the United States. And Germany, as you know, is very delinquent in their payments to NATO. And they're paying 1%, and they're supposed to be at 2%, and the 2% is very low. It should be much more than that. So they're delinquent of billions of dollars, and this is for years delinquent. So we're removing we're putting the number down to 25,000 soldiers. We'll see what happens. But Germany has not been making payment. In addition to that, I was the one that brought it up. Everybody talks about Trump with Russia. Well, I brought this up a long time ago. Why is Germany paying Russia billions of dollars for energy, and then we're supposed to protect Germany from Russia? How does that work? It doesn't work. So Germany's delinquent. They've been delinquent for years, and they owe NATO billions of dollars, and they have to pay it. So we're protecting Germany, and they're delinquent. That doesn't make sense. So I said we're going to bring down the soldier count to 25,000 soldiers. It varies. It's around 52,000 now, but it varies. But it's a lot. And as you know, those are well-paid soldiers. They live in Germany. They spend vast amounts of money in Germany. Everywhere around those bases is very prosperous for Germany. So Germany takes, and then on top of it, they treat us very badly on trade. We have trade with the EU, and Germany being the biggest member, very, very badly on trade, and we're negotiating with them on that. But right now, I'm not satisfied with the deal they want to make. They've cost the United States hundreds of billions of dollars over the years on trade. So we get hurt on trade, and we get hurt on NATO. Now, with NATO, I've raised other countries $140 billion. They're paying $140 billion more because I interceded. I said, look, we're protecting you. You have to pay your bills. Because it was going like this until I got here. Now it's gone like a rocket ship. But one of the only countries that hasn't agreed to pay what they're supposed to pay is Germany. So I said, until they pay, we're removing our soldiers, a number of our soldiers, by about half. And then when we get down to 25,000, we'll see where we're going. But Germany has been delinquent, and why should we be doing what we're doing if they don't pay? And they're supposed to pay. And the number they're supposed to pay, actually, at 2%, the 2% should be higher. And we're also talking about for many years. This isn't a new phenomenon. This is going on for many years, where they've taken advantage of the United States. But everybody has. Under Biden and under Obama, what they've done to this country is unbelievable. And I'm not only talking about Germany, by the way. I'm talking about plenty of other countries. But NATO now is paying $140 billion more. If you look at the Secretary General, who's terrific, Stoltenberg, he's been terrific. He's probably my biggest fan. He said nobody else could have done what Trump did because I raised the other countries by $140 billion because we end up paying the difference. The United States pays the difference to protect Europe. So we protect them, and then they take advantage of us on trade for many, many years. We're not talking about now, less so now, for many years. So we're working on a deal with them, but it's very unfair. And I would say by far the worst abuser is Germany.
He's right, by the way, about the Germans. He's absolutely right. And building this Russian Nord Stream gas line is completely contrary to the idea of our troops being there. He's absolutely right. The Germans are two-faced. They always have been in the Central Europe. They play the game as a Central European power, and we shouldn't play it with them. The president spoke about justice at the round table as well, reacting, of course, to the death of George Floyd and others. Cut number 2.
So the overall goal is we want law and order, and we want it done fairly, justly. We want it done safely, but we want law and order. This is about law and order, but it's about justice also, and it's about safety. So I think we're going to do a good job tomorrow. I think you're going to see some things that a lot of people thought would not happen. You wouldn't be able to get them done, but we'll get them done. Again, though, I want to emphasize it's possible the House can also, on top of this, I spoke to the various leaders, on top of this can get something. But I think this will be very comprehensive tomorrow. So
He also spoke about the shooting, the deadly shooting of Rashard Brooks in Atlanta 2 nights ago, cut number 7.
I thought it was a terrible, I'm not going to compare things, but I thought it was a terrible situation. I studied it closely. I'm going to get some reports done today, very strong reports, and we'll have a little more to say about it tomorrow. But certainly to me, it was very disturbing.
And then finally, he talked about the Supreme Court case on the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which I've already discussed on the show this morning. The president had this to say about what the Supreme Court said about LGBTQ cases, cut number 4.
No, they've ruled. I've read the decision, and some people were surprised, but they've ruled, and we live with their decision. That's what it's all about. We live with the decision of the Supreme Court. Very powerful, a very powerful decision, actually. But they have so ruled.
They have so ruled. Remember all that stuff about authoritarianism? We ought to put this on the board, Dwayne. Put this on my board somewhere. Cut number 4. Donald Trump on the 1964 Act, Civil Rights Act, applying to sexual orientation. Cut number 4.
No, they've ruled. I've read the decision, and some people were surprised, but they've ruled, and we live with their decision. That's what it's all about. We live with the decision of the Supreme Court. Very powerful, a very powerful decision, actually. But they have so ruled.
They have so ruled. Authoritarian. Honest to goodness. ReliefFactor.com. Here you go, America.